So today we're starting a brand new project. We are building another little miniature house. I am so excited. As much as I love the coffee shop, I just wanted to build a house again. Now I like to have like a backstory to my builds. So I was like looking at this house and I was like, they have a nursery in this house, which means this was probably the house that Mr. Slugley lived in with Mrs. Slugley back when Junior was a baby. But let's get into it. Let's unbox this and see how well organized it is, because I gotta say one thing about the real life set, that was so well organized right out of the box. Now just first impressions, there is so much more to this. I kind of forgot about that. It's like flipping through these instructions, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be a lot bigger of a project. And I am seeing a lot of things that are going to need upholstering. And you guys know how I feel about upholstering miniature furniture. So we're gonna see how this goes. But let's get into putting on the flooring of the main house. It looks like it's kind of broken up by like that main area, and then we have a bathroom, and then we have some grass, but I don't see any grass like in the photos. So maybe we have like a back porch area that I just didn't see. So I'm gluing this down with the 3-in-1 because it won't leave any wrinkles. And I do smooth this out with this like little yellow tool I have just to make sure that there's no bubbles. But now that the floor is done, we can get started on the first walls. I think this wall is like a shared wall between the bathroom and the kitchen. Also, I don't know what I was thinking. I did all of this with the X-Acto knife and I didn't use a ruler at all. I thought I was going slow enough because this is like 4 times speed, but there was a couple times where I was just like, ooh, this was not exactly straight. And then they do have enough wallpaper left so you can wrap it around the end. Of course, this did not want to stick. I really should have pre-folded it. Now we can move on to the back side. So this wallpaper is actually at the back of the instruction book, which was kind of strange to me, but this one is the one we're going to cut out. Again, this is super speed because I don't think you guys want to watch this in slow-mo. But it was interesting to me that they had the first wallpaper curl around, because I don't know if it's actually going to show or not. I'm assuming that if they had the wallpaper curl around, it is going to be visible. But here we are just doing a couple of the picture frames that are going to go on this wall. So we just are doing this letter A and this cute little Highland cow. So I did pull out my silicone mat that I'm supposed to use when I glue, so I don't get glue on my cutting mat. That doesn't really happen, but the silicone mat is really good if you're wanting to do these folds because it has enough give to actually be able to fold the paper. So I'm doing one side, just making the paper a little bit more flexible. So the Highland cow went pretty well. I added enough glue that it leaked around the sides to help stick it in. You do really have to hold this in place for a while to get it to stick. This A though, I don't know what I did. I cut it out like you were supposed to, but it was just like not centered on here. So I'm pretty happy that this A is farther back in the build and you won't really be able to tell that it's off centered, but our Highland cow is adorable. Now we can move on to our next wall, but here is the wall and here are the 2 wallpapers that we're going to be sticking onto it. I'm pretty sure I'm using like way more glue than what is needed for these walls, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. So next we're going to be adding in a light. So there's supposed to be like a light and a music box on this wall. Now, as you guys know, I am not an electrician. I tried doing lights in the last build. It just wasn't something I enjoyed. I didn't even add the batteries. So we're going to be making a light and sticking it in, but it's not going to be a functional light. So we have the bead, we have the little buttons, and this gold paper had the templates printed on the back. Like, how is this not a thing that every kit does? It made it so much easier to cut this out. Now I do jump ahead because I don't know what happened here. It took me so long to cut out this little circle. And here it is, the final product. And then we're just going to add in the wire to hold it to the wall. This has been my issue though. Whenever I don't add the wiring for the lights, there's just like a lot of extra space and it makes it really hard for things to be like held in place. As you guys will see in a minute, we do kind of have to like MacGyver it together. So I am using my little handy dandy toothpick as a precision device and the clear like tacky gel glue. I really love using this for builds because it's absolutely clear. You don't have to worry about like having any sort of like discoloration. But now we're going to be adding in the wire. And now we can add the lamp to the wall. So I'm just adding the button to hold it to the wall, and then we're going to add the actual lamp in. And here's where we kind of have to MacGyver it, because the wires would help keep this in place if I added the actual light bulb, but because we don't have them, I'm just using a toothpick to have all the glue and stuff dry in place. So I'm just going to leave this here for a few minutes and we can get started on the second lamp. This one was even harder because we didn't include the wiring, so it wanted me to cut out 2 pieces of this gold paper for the lamp. I ended up cutting both out, but we only used this circular one. I'm just adding in the wire now, and we're gonna have to twist up the paper to make the little lampshade. So for this, the lampshade is supposed to be facing towards the ground. And here I am seriously struggling to coil up this paper. I won't lie to you guys, it took me a few tries to actually get this coiled up correctly. And while this is drying, we can get started on the next wall. So this is going to be the back wall. You can see the wallpaper for both the bedrooms and the bathroom here. Again, here's me definitely overdoing it on the glue, but the glue is absorbing into the wood of this cork board. So I'm telling myself there was a reason for overdoing it. Now we can add in the lamp, and it did pop off the lampshade, so we're gonna have to glue that back together. Now we're gonna be making a cute little curtain for this window upstairs. It has this weird fold, but first we need to cut it down to size. So we're adding this little wire to replicate a curtain rod. It was really hard to hold this into place, and it told me to glue it, but glue does not work on fabric, so instead I'm trying out these little adhesive dots. So I actually bought these adhesive dots for my sister's baby shower when we were making decor for it, and I was like, oh my god, these are so freaking sticky that I think they'll actually work on fabric. So we're gonna test this out on this little curtain rod. So these curtains are those sheet curtains that have the internal string that you can pull to pull them up and have them have little pleats in it. I don't know if I'm explaining this right, but I think it turned out pretty well. I have to add another dot to keep the pleat in place. And as I'm doing this voice recording, I'm trying to mime it to you guys and realizing you are not at all gonna see me try to mime it. But now that the curtain's done, we are adding in a little window frame around the window. And I am using glue to stick the fake curtain rod to the wall. I actually think this turned out pretty good. Now we're going to add in the window frame for the bottom window. There was supposed to be a curtain that goes on this bottom window, and I pulled out the fabric for it, and then it just disappeared. I have no clue where this fabric went for the curtain, so if I find it, we can add it in later, but I am just so confused. Next up, we're going to be adding this translucent film to replicate the glass. So this is the template for all the different pieces of glass. I just taped it to the actual film to make it a lot easier. And because this film is going on the other side of the wall that you're not going to see, I don't care if I mess up cutting this out. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just cut it out pretty quick. Again, if the glue's a little messy, you won't see it, but we can now stick on our little glass. And then I ultimately regretted that decision to be messy because I stuck it down on the mat to dry, and the overflow glue stuck this wall to my mat. So jumping forward, we are doing the floor for the second floor so that we have wood on one side and then we're adding in a white ceiling. Now the final wall piece we're doing today is basically all just windows. So here are the window frames and the glass. Again, I am using the clear gel tacky glue. And this guy, I was again doing the sloppy glue because I thought hey, this would be perfect because when I put in the frame, we're gonna have excess glue and then I can just stick the translucent film in with that extra glue. I also regretted that because I stuck the glass to the wrong side. Also, I have glue all over my fingers, so I can't touch the translucent film. But we can now get started building the frame of our house. So I'm just adding this gel glue to the bottom to stick it on. And to help hold it in place, I have this little metal 90-degree brick. So I'm going to be using that in the back to hold it together, and we can get started on the second wall. Again, to make sure it's being held actually at 90 degrees, I'm going to use another one of these guys. Now onto our third wall. So this one is going to go kind of between the wood and the grass. And this is where the music box is supposed to go, but we're not going to add that in. Now onto our final wall, which is just this glass window wall. Right here is where I'm realizing, oh, I put the glass on wrong. So I just flipped that over real quick and we can put the wall back up. So here is what the frame of our house is starting to look like. I think it is so freaking cute. Our little slugs are going to be so happy in their new home or old home. But next we're going to have to do the bathroom and that wall between the bathroom and the kitchen so we can add in the stairs and the second floor. But I am so excited to be building this house. I hope to see you guys next time.